So everybody's sitting on the sidelines waiting, wondering when are the prices going to come down so it'd be safe for us to jump in and buy a house. Maybe we sell now, we'll jump in later down the road and buy a house when the prices go down. You may be waiting a while because the numbers don't look like that right now. So let's take a look at what's happening right now and why it looks like prices really are. They're not going to go down anytime soon. This is Steve, real estate agent Keller Williams, the Malone Realty Group. And as promised, we talked about this last week and wanted to have a deep, in-depth discussion about this. We're going to kind of go a little nerdy here and let's dig into some stats and look at the numbers because the numbers don't lie. So we're going to share the screen right quick. I'm going to hit that button right there. And here we go. So we're going to start right here. And keep in mind, everything we're going to talk about today is going to be, in the vein of supply versus demand, right? All right. So it's going to be where are we supply-wise, where are we demand-wise, and what is that going to mean for prices? Because obviously supply goes down, demand goes up, prices go up, and the vice versa. So we start out looking at this graph, existing home sales, okay? So 2005 all the way through 2020 and potentially 2021, 2022. So the existing home sales, this is in millions of homes per year in the United States. So 2005 had about 7 million, 2006, 6.5 million. That led into the big fallout in 2007, where we only had 5 million, and then really had the big economic collapse in 2008. And then it took a while for us to get back to 5 million a year. That wasn't until 2013. And we kept digging. And finally, last year, even despite the pandemic, we had 5.64 million homes sold across the country, still below where we were before the big economic collapse of 2008. And NAR is expecting, the National Association of Realtors is expecting to actually have an even stronger year this year and in 2022. So that being said, still not as many as there were back in 2005 and 2006. So what does that mean as far as, going forward? Well, let's start here. Total days on market. Okay, so this is the measure of, obviously, the total days on market. This takes into account all price points. So it's not just a lower end price point or higher end price point. This is all of them averaged. And you can see on the map, or on the graph, I should say, the black at the top, that's 2011. Then you have 2012 in the blue, go down, 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 down. As you get down to this pink down here, this is 2021. Look at the difference between the total days on market this year and even last year. Last year, which was a crazy year. It is crazy how little time these homes are spending on the market. It's far beyond anything we've seen. So that is an extreme sign that demand is way, way up. So that's indicative of the fact that the prices are going to continue going up. There's nothing coming. All right, so let's talk about home values. This is the annual home price appreciation. So as the prices go up, there's going to be a tipping point. You would think if it goes up, 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 up too much, maybe then it's too high, right? Well, look at this. On the left-hand side, that's 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005. And that 4-year stretch, it averaged about 10% every year, okay? And that led into, and it was still rolling into 2006, started to slow in 2007, and in 2008 was the big collapse. Look at what's happened the last 4 years. 6.4% in 17, then 4.8, 4.7, 9.2 last year, which is crazy compared to where we've been. But you look back to 2005, it was 11.4, 12.5 in 2004. So even though it's been up the last 4 years, it's still not to where it was back in that 2002 to 2005 timeframe. So yeah, it's going up, but it's not that extreme number, because that's what everybody thinks. It's like, oh, so extreme, that must mean that things are getting ready to happen. Well, it's not even as extreme as it was in the early 2000s. And even that didn't lead to anything until the late in the decade. Okay. We'll go to the next one. Months of inventory. Okay. This is the measure of basically how quick things are moving and what we have in inventory. So when we talk about months of inventory, what it means is if we stopped adding houses to the market, we just had what we have right now, and everything sold at the current pace, this is how long it would take for everything to sell. Okay, so you can see if you're in the red, that's a buyer's market. That's when it's going to take more than 7 months to sell everything. A seller's market was when things go super fast. That's when everything is less than 6 months and everything sells quickly. That's a seller's market. We're in a much more extreme seller's market today than we were even in the late 90s, early 2000s. Look at this. The months of inventory for existing single family home sales. This is going to tell the story as we went into the collapse of '08 versus where we are right now. You had 3.9 months in '04, 5 months in '05. Those are sellers markets, not super strong sellers markets, but sellers markets. '06, it started to turn, and '07 turned into a very strong buyer's market across the country. And then, of course, like we talked about, that led into, or that was part of what led into the big economic collapse in '08. Fast forward, this is what we saw the last 4 years. In 2017, it was 4, then 3.7 in 18, 3 in 19, I should say, 2.1 last year. And it's even less right now is where we're running as far as the months of inventory. What that means is that, this is not a repeat of what we had. It's giving you even more of an indication that we have the supply and demand issue. We have the demand, we have the lack of supply, and that's going to keep the prices going up. This is a very interesting graph, and I'm going to move my head over here. There I go. So this shows you on the blue, the annual median home price in thousands, and the yellow line is the long-term average. So it goes up. This average is 4%. And for several years, starting in '89, you go all the way through, let's say, '01, it stayed right on that 4% line. That's historically where homes are supposed to be, is on that 4% line. So if you leave that 4% line there, as you can see, things went way up, 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 up. In '06, '07, they were way above the line, and then everything went through the floor. But you leave that line there, look at what's happened over the last couple of years. We've started to catch up to that line, and we're almost there after last year. We're almost back on that 4% line. So what does that mean? What that means is that even if the prices continue to go up a little bit, which are going to this year, we're still slightly below that historical line. So we're just getting back to where we're supposed to be on that historical line. If we get way above like we did in '05 and '06, '07, then you have, then there's the potential where, yeah, you're going to have some issues. But right now, coming out of 2020, we're still slightly below that line. So there's still a little bit of room to go before we get to that line. Here's another very interesting thing, another very interesting graph to look at. Right there. So we're talking about forbearance, and this is the thing that a lot of people have been worried about, going forward, is when these folks come out of forbearance, are they going to have a plan? Okay. This is a very interesting graph. Of all the people that were in forbearance, the people in green are people who have either gotten caught up or they've made a plan. The people in blue have worked out a premium plan. 50% here are paid in full. 33.6 are on a repayment plan, and 15.6 are still in trouble. They could be potentially foreclosed on. They could potentially, they still need to work out a repayment plan. That doesn't guarantee that there's going to be an issue. But right now, there's 15.6% of the people that were in forbearance still need to work something out. Okay. So let's say that they don't. Let's say that everybody in that 15.6% gets foreclosed on, and every one of those homes goes back on the market. This is a crazy graph. This is showing the actual inventory in January of the last 6 years. So you had in January 16, 939,000 houses, and 825, 764, 813, 722. This year, 325,404 homes on the market. I mean, it's less than half what we had last year. If you added all of those potential foreclosures on top of it, the number is still less than where we were this time last year, which is just crazy when you think about it. So even if you add those, everybody thinks if we add all those foreclosures and it's going to, all the prices are going to go swinging back. They're not going to go swinging back. I think that what you're going to do is you're going to alleviate a lot of the pressure on the market. And what you're going to do is you're actually going to get, folks, back into buying. Other people are going to put their homes on the market because they're going to see stuff out there, and it's going to, allow everything to return to a little bit more normalcy. But even then, I think the normalcy we're going to get to is we're going to get to a point where you have it's a seller's market, because we still don't have the inventory for it to swing to become a buyer's market. We still have the low interest rates. Everything still is in a position where it's just going to be a seller's market for a while. You have to swing into a strong buyer's market before you see the prices come down. And looking at those numbers and looking at the current economic situation and looking at the rates, there's no indications at all that anything like that's going to happen over the next at least 2 to 3 years. It's going to take a while. And even then, you have to get more homes on the market to swing it back the other way. So if you're waiting for that to happen, you're going to be waiting a while. What you need to do is see when can you find a great deal. And if the rates are really good, take advantage of the rates where they are, find a really good deal and get your piece of the pie now. Because if you're waiting, you could be waiting a while. There you go. And hopefully, if you like stats, if you're that personality, which I love stats, I'm that personality. If you love that, hopefully you enjoyed those couple minutes. Maybe you were pulling your hair out and you didn't like that. Either way, if you want to talk more about it and talk more about this market and how we can help you out, help you get sold, take advantage of the market if you're selling, 470-233-4409. This is Steve Keller Williams. Thanks for watching, y'all. Take care. Have a good Monday.